Okay, so welcome to this video. So following the timetable again, we are still in week 1. So we talked about the introduction, writing a program, and then understanding the basics for C++. So today we are going to focus on arrays and for loop statements. Then later on, its application in social network analysis. So because this handout is covering both arrays and for loops in C++, then the application in social network analysis, and we don't have power, so I'll just make a short video which will be part 1, then there will be part 2, part 3, and part 4 for this particular slide. So in this video we are going to concentrate on how to understand the arrays and how for loops work in C++. Then the second video will talk about the application of arrays and for loops in C++ based on this particular question, which is question 1. So this will be in video 2. Then video 3 will cover again arrays and for loops, but specifically we'll talk about Nodal Degrees, which is part of your social network analysis course. Then video 4 we'll talk about arrays and for loops, but specifically on adjacent matrices. So that's how we'll go about these tutorials for this particular topic. Okay, so in our previous video we talked about on how to create a project for us to start coding or writing our program in C++. So the first step was to create a folder. So just like click say new, then folder. So since we're talking about arrays, I'll just say arrays and for loops. So that's the folder I'll be working with today. So once you create your folder, you need to open up Microsoft Visual Studio Code, or if you want to open up code blocks, that's up to you, but I'll be more focused with Microsoft Visual Studio Code. So we need to use this option which is saying open folder. Okay, so we click on open folder, then we go to the desktop, then this is the folder I've created, which is arrays and for loops. So select that folder. So once that folder is selected, you just need to say yes, I trust the authors. So use this symbol to create a new file which will be used to write a program. So I'll just call this as introduction. Since this is the introduction to this topic, I'll just say introduction. So we need to specify the extension. Since it's C++, we say .cpp for C++, and as you can see, the symbol has changed to C++. So you save that, then this panel will pop up, whereby now we need to write our codes in here. So when we started the introduction of C++, we said each and every program should start with hashtag include the IO stream. So what this meant was to say we are using an IO stream library. So no wonder we're saying include, because we want to include this library. IO stands for input output stream. So input will accept the input which is entered by the user, then output will print out the expected output of the program to the user. Okay, now for input we said we use cin, output cout. So end line, cin, cout, they are all part of the namespace standards. So we need to include this also, which is using namespace std. Okay, so using namespace std, because if we want to include cin, cout, and endline, this is the standard we should use. Now remember, each and every program should have a function. So we talked about a main function. So the type is an integer, the name of the function is the main, then the function looks like this, then you put these curly braces, then you need to return something. So because it's an integer, we'll return a 0 because 0 is also an integer. So this was just a quick recap. Now we can start talking about arrays. Okay, so since we are discussing about arrays now, so let's give a comment. We also discussed about comments, so use a single line comment, then we just say arrays. So we want to understand the syntax or the format for an array. So for an array, you need to specify the type. Again, we talked about type. So for this one, first of all, let me give a comment because I want to specify the question. So here we are going to talk about numbers. So write a C++ program that will display numbers based on their position. Okay, so that's the thing we want to program. So we need to give a comment saying arrays. We need to give a comment saying arrays. Okay, so an array should start with a type. So in this case, numbers are integers. So the type you're going to use is an integer. I'll say int for integer. Then each and every array should have a name. So in this case, we are talking about numbers. The name of our array, we'll call it numbers, but it can be anything. We'll call it numbers. Then an array works more like sets. You also need to have elements that belong to a particular set. So numbers should have its elements. So consider a number more like an element or more like a set, then it needs to contain elements which are numbers. So in this example, we are going to use numbers which go up to 6. So since we have numbers from 1 to 6, when we count them all together, they are 6. So it means we have 6 elements. So we are going to use this square bracket symbol, then say 6. So it means these numbers, which is a set, has 6 elements in its set. So that's how the syntax of an array starts. Then you put the equal sign, then these curly braces. Now you need to specify each and every element. If there are multiple elements, you just use a comma. We said you have numbers from 1, so you say comma 2, comma 3, comma 4, comma 5, then 6. So at the end, you cannot put a comma because we are done. Then you just put these symbols. It means we've defined our array, which has a type of an integer. Then the name, it's called numbers based on this question. Then it has 6 elements. Okay, then these are the 6 elements we're talking about. Now since we just want to display numbers based on their position, so in an array, position starts at 0, or we start counting at 0. If I want to print out the number 1, this is position number 0. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how an array works. So let's give an example. To print out or to display something, we say cout, which is part of the std and o stream output stream. So this will help us to give the output, then cout. So remember, we need to call out the name of the array, which is numbers. Okay, so numbers, then inside we just need to specify the position we want to print. For example, if we want to print 1, 1 is on position 0, just put a 0, then you end your program like this. Okay, so once this is done, we can try to run this by saying Ctrl S to save the program. Click on these symbols, then terminal, new terminal. Now remember, we are at our desktop, so we need to make sure that the path is desktop, then we are in the folder for arrays and for loops. So we are using G++ to make our executable file. So in this case, um, our file name is called introduction. Okay, it's called introduction. So we are going to say introduction.cpp. Okay, that's our file name. Then once I click enter, a file will be created uh, here, which will be executable. So as you can see, we have a.exe which is created. So you are going to say a, then tab, which is that file. We are going to run it. So as you can see, once this program is being run, it's printing out 1. So it means this array has printed 1 because we wanted to print 0, which is position 0, 1. Now imagine if we wanted to print out 5. So we need to know the position for 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 5 is on position 4. We change 0 to 4. Control S to save. So let me run the program again. So just a minute. So we say G++, then we'll say name of this file, which is introduction. We say introduction.cpp. Then now that file which is created, we just run it, then enter. As you can see, we've printed out 5 because 5 is on position number 4 if we count from 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's all about arrays. This is the example we use. Now